Mitt Romney became the nominee after a prolonged primary season. His chief opponent, the man who won 11 primaries and caucuses and galvanized social conservatives, is joining us at the table now, and we want to welcome former Senator Rick Santorum. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Judy. Good to be here.
Senator, we heard you speak last night, speak from the heart. Are social issues getting enough attention at this convention and in this campaign?
Well, I would say this, that, the big issues of the day, the issues that I talked about on the campaign trail, had to do with, the state of this economy and the fiscal concerns that people have and the whole overall relationship between government and people in their lives. I think that's the overriding issue in this election. What I try to do in the campaign is really what Tony just mentioned, which is to understand that this doesn't happen in a vacuum. America is more than just industry and business. It's also families. And then when families break down, government needs to get bigger to pick up the pieces. And that if we're really going to make government smaller, if that's the message, then we have to make individuals and families bigger and stronger. And that was really, I think, what galvanized it. It wasn't, people say it was the social issues. Really interesting little poll, and I'm probably going long here for you, and I apologize. But I don't know if you remember on election night, we always did better than what the exit polls said we were going to do. Every night. Remember Mississippi and Alabama, Drudge ran Santorum, Romney wins by 12 in Mississippi, 7 in Alabama. We won both states. After the campaign, the Romney campaign said, this phenomenon we'd never seen, the exit polls being wrong, and we figured the exit polls can't be wrong, something's going on. So they asked 2 questions. Who are you for, and when are you planning to vote? And they showed me a poll from Pennsylvania just before I got out. If you voted before noon, I was up 4. If you voted between noon and 5 o'clock, I was down 5. If you voted after 5, I was up 21.
So you got working people on your side.
It wasn't social issues, Judy. It was talking their language of what they're living in their lives as people punching the clock every day. And that's what connected to people. And that's what, hopefully, the guy from Wisconsin, the guy who grew up in the working class background, that's what he's going to do tonight to make that connection.
Maybe, Senator, that's why you got a speaking role at the convention, and some of the people who were also on those debate stages did not. But I was interested to hear Tony Perkins just now say that he's talked to Mitt Romney about the thing that Governor Romney has promised to talk about at this convention, and that's his own faith and his own Mormon background. Have you had that conversation with him? Do you have any advice about how he can handle that?
The only advice that I've given the Romney campaign over the last few days about this convention is that Paul Ryan needs to lay out the vision in the way that I just described for those voters who I think are in the mix to win this election. And Mitt Romney has to tell people or open up a window as to who he is.
Why can't Mitt Romney lay out the vision? Why would it fall to the vice president?
I just think that's what Ryan's really good at. And I think he's the idea guy. Look, when Mitt Romney put Paul Ryan on the ticket, Mitt Romney said, we're going to make this campaign about ideas and vision. And Paul Ryan can do that. Mitt Romney has to do that too. I'm not saying, he just sit up and tell, stories about, growing up as a kid and having a dog. And he needs to talk about, but he needs to do it in a way that opens up a door so people can see how this guy ticks. That he's not just this CEO and that I hire and fire and I can run things and I can make things work.
Well, you spent a bunch of months running against him. Did you give us an episode? Did something happen where you saw he's more than just the CEO?
Well, I'll be very honest with you. Other than the formal debates, you know this. You don't really see each other. We're off doing our own things. The debates are really the only time there's sort of the little banter and as we stand there waiting to go on stage. And, Mitt always just came across as just a normal guy where we talked about a whole variety of different things, everything from what was going on in the news to sports to family. And I just found it to be pretty normal.
You did meet with him after a certain interval, after you dropped out of the race. What was that meeting like? Did it feel natural in a way? It had to be very hard for you.
No, not at all. I really mean that. It wasn't. Look, I got into this race for one reason. I think Barack Obama is a great threat to the future of our country. And I think he's destroying it on multiple levels. And when I got out, that didn't change. and my conviction is to do what I can. And we didn't talk at all about the race. We didn't talk at all about the campaign. We talked about what my recommendation was, that how I thought he could, attract folks that maybe I was connecting with, and talked about different issues. But it was all, how do we do this? And that's what it's been since.
Mark?
Senator, you're describing a candidate who's been quite effective and quite efficient. But at the same time, we're talking about somebody that we don't know. The American people don't know at this point. You spoke more openly and movingly on the night of the Iowa caucuses, again last night, about the wake of your grandfather and his hands. When do we get that from Mitt Romney? Do we get any of that from Mitt Romney?
Yeah, look, I hear you. And, I look back in presidential politics. You guys, few have been coming in for a few years. And look at the guys who don't win. Al Gore, John Kerry, Michael Dukakis. I mean, it's all these sort of, technocrats, machines, stiff people. And it's not that they don't have accomplishment. All of them had accomplishment that they could point to, but they couldn't get past the idea that there was something deeper than that.
Are you describing something that is a Massachusetts syndrome? Dukakis, Kerry, Romney?
You've got to lend him the sweater vest. He needs the sweater vest.
We're still on back order in Bemidji, Minnesota. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Do you think his campaign, does he understand that he needs to get that across? What's your sense?
Well,
and what's your advice about how to do it?
Other
than putting Paul Ryan out there.
I did offer that as advice back when I talked to him. And,
really?
That's what I believe. I said, people want to like you. If they're going to vote for someone, I think people want to like you. I can tell you and I say that from my own example. You remember early in the campaign when I was out there sitting on the end, and I was this sort of piss and vinegar, angry. No one was asking me any questions. And when they did, it was about gay rights, and that's it. Just, stop it. Talk to me about whatever you talk to everybody else about. And I think I came across as a bit petulant. And I'll never forget one of the early debates. I finished one of those petulant remarks and walked over to my wife, who is the salt and light for me, and tells me exactly what I don't want to hear, but the truth. And I walked over to her with a big smile, like a puppy dog does, right? And she looked at me and she said, "Chill." She said, "Happy warrior." And it took me a while. It's not easy. It's not easy to sort of, feel like, wow, they're being unfair and they're beating me up, and just say, it doesn't matter. Show people who you are.
Does this election turn on that? I mean, we know that we all read the polls, and we know that the president and Mitt Romney are kind of neck and neck, except for this likability, which seems to keep it tight. Does this election turn on that, his ability to chill?
Americans, the folks in the middle are in the middle because they don't feel very strongly about the issues. They're not ideologically driven. They vote on a feel. And people say, well, that's bad. They shouldn't. No, I don't think that's necessarily bad. I mean, getting a feel of the kind of character and quality of the leader of our country. Maybe it's bad if you're voting for Congress that way, because it doesn't really matter whether your congressman's, but it does matter as a leader.
Higher the office.
And the higher the office, the more that intangible matters. And so I think it is important. It's not something that, I know a lot of the political pros dismiss that, but don't dismiss how important it is for people to feel good about their leaders. They want to feel good. They want to be connected to them in some way.
So you're saying, we're almost halfway through this convention now. This is halfway through the second of 3 nights. Are you saying they're going to miss a big opportunity if they don't do it here? Or does he have time to do it after Tampa?
Look, it's never too late, but the later the hour, the steeper the mountain. And because you're not everybody's going to be watching here tonight, and you have, at least what I found. You think you're out there saying the same thing for a year, and that everybody in the world knows what you're saying or knows who you are. I go to Little Italy in Cleveland, and I do the Feast of the Assumption Mass and parade through the city, and I run into a guy very active in politics in Cleveland, and I introduced him, and I said, you know what? I'm Italian. Oh, I didn't know you were Italian. What do you mean you don't know I'm Italian? I was like, what do you mean? How can you not know that? Well, that's what they don't you have to understand is that not everybody's really paying attention.
After a year on the road wearing the sweater vest and being mistaken for a Greek or whatever.
Yeah, a Greek. That's it. I thought you were Greek.
After all this,
that might have helped me in some areas.
Would you do it again?
Oh, I hope you got this from last night. I mean, it was what an amazing experience it was. Yeah. You know this. I mean, this is a great country.
But would you do it again?
Well, I'm not announcing for anything.
No, okay. But Senator, just if Mitt doesn't chill and Barack Obama is elected to a second term, Mo Udall, the great congressman from Arizona, whoever the president said, the only known cure for the presidential virus is embalming fluid. Now, are you telling us that presidential virus is in your system and that doesn't go away?
I can honestly say that
Briefly.
I didn't have a virus. I honestly
no, but
I really never sat around and dreamed to be president. I did it because of the situation in front of us and what I thought the field was that we were getting into, and then I thought I brought something different to the table. We'll wait and see.
Well, Senator, we're going to follow up on that question with you another time, but thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you
tonight.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for chipping in there, David.
Now